Welcome everyone to this week's Real Talk Food Safety with Jill and Tia.
Hello, everyone. Super excited to quote unquote see you.
Mhm.
Put a comment in the comments so we'll know that you're here and you're with us and listening to us.
Yes, we are so excited. And it's the month of November here, right in the US, and kind of with the holidays, we often celebrate gratitude. But
Yes.
really, this is our celebration month for our 1 year anniversary.
Yes.
So we are also celebrating today a year of gratitude on having you, our audience, here with us and supporting us and being with us this past year. It has meant a lot to us.
It has. It has. It's meant a lot to be able to do the things that we're super passionate about.
Mhm.
And I mean, we're excited just to have today's real talk because for people that know us, Real Talk started this year, right? Like
Mhm.
it's a part of this year's this year of who we've become, right, as a
Mhm.
part of Catalyst. And so, we're excited to have you all along here for the journey, and we can't wait.
Mhm.
Can't wait for next year.
We can. And, as you're joining, what we'd love to know, because we're going to share a bunch of things that we're grateful for and things that we've learned and how it's related to food safety and how sometimes it doesn't seem to be always related to food safety. Um, but, drop in the comments. What are you grateful for this morning or today,
Yes.
recently? Yeah.
Hello to Paula and to Claire. Claire, grateful to be here. Thank you so much for being here. We're grateful that you have taken some time out to be here with us.
Yes. So, Tia, should we do our toast?
We should.
We prepared. I can't clink very well in virtual land, but
Clink,
clink,
clink.
clink. To toast
Cheers.
each
Cheers.
other and to each of you that have joined us, whether you're live or on replay. But thank you because you've helped us make this an incredible year and really letting some of our dreams just come
Yes.
true.
Yes. So cheers to that. We'll take a little sip to this.
You like my hockey mom? This is my go-to glass, hockey mom.
Oh, I love that. It's so funny. Okay, so we have these champagne glasses. I actually have two sets, but one of them says bride and groom. And I was like, should I bring my bride one up? Probably not. Let me look for the one that does not have bride on
It
it.
all works. No. And
Yes.
well, thank you, Diane. So glad you're here, and grateful for life, right? We get to be here another day.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Another day to wake up and impact um either our own personal lives or other people's lives, like or even if you are having a lazy Wednesday, right? Maybe you're on vacation or you're just taking some downtime. Being grateful for life is awesome.
Yeah. And thank you, Damaris, for saying thanks for motivating us to find our better selves. And,
Yes.
that's at the core of what we do. That is our mission. How do we make life? How do we help make life what you want it to be? A better version of where it's at today? All of those things.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
Stephanie, we are so grateful to have met you and stay connected and finally meet you in person this year. So that was awesome as well. So thank you so much for the support.
Yes. And thank you, Paula and Marcel, for being here with us today, too. We're
Yes.
excited.
Good morning. Good morning. Tim, finally in the office.
Hey,
Yes. So
Tim.
happy to have you.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. So, if you are here celebrating with us, if this is your first time, typically, we're not toasting, right? Which it's funny, like what's in our drink. Maybe you know
Okay,
what?
mine really isn't champagne. It's this fun little soda I got at Target.
Right, exactly. Mine is look, I have my Welch's sparkling.
I wander around Target and I look and I'm like, ooh, that looks like a new product. Ooh, that looks like something new. So when I check out, they're probably like, what was on your list? Because it is hodgepodge of stuff.
Right. Well, it's funny because for people that know me, I just had a baby back in April. And so I always have my little sparkling grape juice. And this is the one of the last bottles from the last run. And so I'm happy to be using it for the celebration. So yes, we're super excited for you all to be here with us. If this is your first time, today is a fun show because we really are talking about our first year as Catalyst and what we've looked at, what we've done, what we've had conversation with you guys about, and then what's coming along in the future. And so if this is your first time here, thank you for being here. We're grateful for you. And we'll just briefly introduce ourselves. You'll learn more about us during this real talk. But we are Tia and Jill, and we are your go-to resource for technical leadership development. And our big thing is that all of our programs are coaching based, and so we really dig deep as we are helping you transform from this technical expert to a technical leader that's really tackling culture change, which is hard. And it's something that might take years to do, right? We use coaching to help you get there because coaching really helps you discover your own gifts that you already have inside of you. They're already there. We just help you discover those.
Rediscover them.
Yeah.
Bring them out, right? Lean into them.
Exactly. And it's so intrinsic to who you are. And it's introspective, right? And those things help you stay on the path of, in our business, building food safety culture and building a sustainable one, because all of your decisions and how you look at leadership and how you are a leader is you. It's coming from within you. So we see positive results with the clients that we have connected with over this last year because of those things.
It is. Yes. Yeah. And I always love to add in too, if it's one of those things you're like, gosh, when I have time, or someday I'll get to this, or we're always stuck here, you need to email us.
Yeah.
And I say that because we, Tia and I, we're going to share a little bit more, but right, we both came from manufacturing backgrounds. We've both been in spaces where we've let the stories that we tell ourselves or that others have told us keep us from moving to where we need to be, whether it's us individually, our teams, or even our food safety programs. And those are the things that we know can be the stumbling blocks. And we help us navigate, we and you navigate through those things in a different way. Coaching is completely different than what we've had in our industry. And that's why we love what we do.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And so we want to share that with you guys today and just celebrate with you. And please add in a comment any questions that you have, any comments that you have, because this is a talk, right? And you all are a part of that. So we can see your comments, as you can see from before. So please add them, and we'll make sure that we talk about it.
And what things do you relate to, or which things are you like, nope, that wasn't my experience at all? We'd love to hear that, because that's part of what we are doing today and every day, actually.
Absolutely.
All right.
So are you ready for our first question?
Yep, I put it up for us.
There you go. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is how do we get into food and why it's important to us. You want to start, Jill?
Sure. If you've heard my story, I grew up on a farm. I grew up on a dairy farm in the middle of Wisconsin. And honestly, when I was younger, I wanted to be as far away from farming as possible because it was so much work. But I kept getting pulled back in. I went to school and I thought I'd be a dairy science major. I stumbled upon food science as like an elective I had to take. And it was like a light bulb went off because I really did not enjoy like basic chemistry and organic chem and biochem, because all of those concepts that were kind of in this like conceptual stage, like I couldn't see them. I'm very hands-on. So in food science, I was like, whoa, that's why my bread turns brown. That's why this happens. That's why that happens. I was hooked. So that's really kind of how I fell into food science. And then from there, it was really, I did a lot of, looking to see where I wanted to go next. And it's important for me now to be in the food space because I think those ag roots that I always tried to kind of ditch and get away from are really just, they are so embedded in who I am and the generations of our family that have farmed. And it's important for me to be in this space because of everything that it's related to, whether it's feeding people, whether it's sustainability, whether it's learning new things every day, and of course the people that we work with.
Yeah, food touches so many things, right?
Yeah,
because it's essential to living, right?
yeah. And being in this space, coaching is even more important because of the experience I've had when I've been working in manufacturing, when I've worked with suppliers, with customers,
Mm-hmm.
when I worked in sales for a couple of years. I had a lot more. I had a broader base to be able to see how people were doing and where we were challenged. And coaching can help with every single one of those things.
Yes, yes.
I know, obviously, I'm biased, but
Right.
I truly believe it.
Yeah, and we've seen it, right? We've seen it be successful. So I got into food accidentally. So it's funny, Claire, biochem made you switch your major. I really I love biochem. I remember my biochem class actually was a night class on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I had a late night class, biochem. And the next morning I had like an anatomy class or something the next day in the same space. And so I saw the same notes, slept for about, 12 hours or so, and then came back and saw the same notes up there to be erased for another class. But I enjoyed biochem. And so in school, I majored in chemical engineering. I also had a pre-med concentration. And so I took a lot of chemistry classes, a lot of physics classes. And, I really enjoyed it. But coming out of school, in school, if there's any engineers out there, specifically chemical engineers, our curriculum is really based in like the oil and gas industry, petroleum, chemical refineries, and that really did not excite me at all. And I knew I wanted to do something different after school. I just didn't know what. And so I went to a conference actually for the National Society of Black Engineers, and I ran into so many food companies. I didn't even know this was an option for me at all. And they were obviously looking for engineers. And so I talked with a lot of food companies and some other companies, and food just made sense. I love the people that I met. I love the cultures that I was seeing. And so I decided, sure, I'll go into food. If I hate it, I'll go to medical school in another 3 years. I gave myself 3 years, I remember. 3 years. If I don't like it, I'll go to medical school.
A few more than 3 years now.
More than 3 years. I don't think I'm going to medical school anytime. That would be crazy to try to do that. But yeah, I kind of just stumbled into food, and I stumbled into food safety because, at the company that I hired into, I could go into food safety and quality, I could go into logistics, or I could go into manufacturing. And to me, manufacturing was like oil and gas. That's what they called manufacturing. I had no idea what manufacturing meant in food, right? And so I said, well, let me just choose quality. And I literally just picked it. And it has worked out, and I love it. I love it. And I love specifically being in food safety because we touch so many parts of the organization. And I've been able to learn about finance and about logistics and about, of course, manufacturing operations and maintenance. And, I've had the opportunities to even lead those functions in my career. And, I love like knowing what's happening in all areas. Food safety allows me to do that and really make an impact in those areas in a different way. And so I love it. And we talked about the importance of it, right? Like the food is a part of every person's life. And if I can be confident in the food safety and even the food quality of what my family and my friends and other people are eating, I love that. I love to be able to say, yep, you can feed your child this, or your grandparents, or yourself, and it's going to be safe. And, because these companies, whatever it is, have great programs, or they think about this or that, that has always given me joy to be able to talk about it. So,
and be part of it, right?
Yeah, and be a part
of school.
Yes. So that's always been fun to me. and why it's important for me to even stay in this space, because I want to continue to strengthen that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's interesting. I'd love to know, like, how many people knew this was their path? Because I didn't know this was my path. You know, when I started, even when I got into food, some of the roles that I ended up taking, I'm like, I'm not sure this is the perfect next role or what somebody would have outlined as like the next step. But I did it. And of course, now I can see hindsight is always so fantastic
Yes.
of what I learned, what I needed to do, how it was a building block to get here for us.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, me too. I'm super curious too about the audience on, you know, did you stumble into food, and was
Yeah.
this something that you've always wanted to do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So as you're sharing, you know what I find is really interesting to you is we have so many people who are like, we've seen you everywhere this year. You guys are everywhere. It's like you're in food safety, but like you're like not in food safety.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why we came up with this question. Like, how is what we're doing now supporting food safety quality technical areas like being in food safety and quality yet?
Yes. 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 It's very similar in the way of like, you we are working all the time, like constantly improving our business and creating. I would say like we're always thinking about those things on like just like what I talked about before, like just think about my company and do they have the right systems in place, but then also the right people in place to help lead. And as we talk more and more about food safety culture, I feel like that's constantly on our minds on how do we help organizations build the food safety culture that they want and need.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get them there? How do we be a true partner for that organization, a holistic partner for them in order for them to build it but continue to sustain it?
Yeah.
And I think that brain power and that thinking and that North Star almost is very similar to working in food safety and working for an organization.
Well, even when you talk about the holistic approach, right? Food safety itself, whenever we're in there, we're like, how do we make sure food safety is part of everybody's like role, that they understand the why, they know what parts of their role are directly attributing to food safety. And we do
Yeah.
the same thing. Like, how often do we meet someone new or have a conversation with someone and we're like, oh, that's another area that's an unmet need.
Mm-hmm.
And like we've done that before. Like, how do we help make sure that that isn't something that's an unmet need out there in
Right.
any way?
Right. Exactly. When I think about leading, having, I've had the opportunity to lead food safety and quality for an organization and really help them build from the ground up. And even when, I wasn't leading for an organization, I was leading for my facility or whatever it happens to be, we still help our clients do that. And we help
Mm-hmm.
our clients kind of build from where they are. Like, if you've worked with us or you've talked with us, we really do meet you where you are and think about like, what are you doing in your business in the future, or what are you currently doing that you need to close those food safety gaps?
Yeah.
That's exactly what I did in industry, where you're looking at your full picture and you're saying, okay, I know we're going to need to strengthen our allergen control program because we plan on introducing a brand new allergen. We plan on moving to a new facility for whatever reason. And so we need to do things a little bit differently there. It's looking at it as a totality, right?
Mm-hmm.
And really building in food safety that we are business partners.
Well, and I think the other part that we do a little bit different is, even though we will help people with programs, we're really focused on how do we help your team,
Mm-hmm.
especially your leaders, your leadership team, be in that space to do that work,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because that's what makes it sustainable. And
Right.
so that focus on like, where are we at for leadership, and are we continually developing leadership
Mm-hmm.
skills, characteristics?
Yeah.
Because that's where, right, we'll naturally gravitate to other things. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's what I love about, this is, I think, kind of like how we're similar, even in our own business, to food safety and quality, is because when it's something new, let's be real, in food safety, we're not often stereotyped as the type of people who are ready to jump in. We are not the
Right.
early adopters of a lot of things. We
Mm-hmm.
are usually risk averse. We want to know all the facts.
Mm-hmm.
We will be very cautious. And so I think that's one thing we've definitely noticed, even being in our own business, is that we get lots of questions, which is
Mm-hmm.
awesome. We love being a resource to help you understand what coaching is and why this investment is different than investing in training, why this type of investment is different than other leadership development programs.
Yes, yes. And I would say that's even similar to being in food safety, just even like with Catalyst and going down the path of coaching, is that it's one of the things that we see is valued, like having a strong leader and having leaders that are equipped to lead and equipped to manage culture change is quote unquote valued. But having those conversations with leadership to say this is why you should invest, I feel like those conversations are very similar to the
Mhm.
conversations I had when I was in food safety,
Yeah.
in the conversations that our clients are having, right? Like we talk to them all the time, and I say clients, but even potential clients, we
Mhm.
have conversations around like, or even friends, right, in the industry. Everyone that's in food safety, we have those conversations all the time. I'm like, how do I get my organization to invest in
Yes.
food safety? And even though we know that it's valued, we know it's going to help the organization. How do I have those conversations? And I would say we're thinking about that even now.
Yeah. And so if it hasn't come up, hopefully you feel that we are just as passionate about coaching as we are about food safety.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So I think that's a good segue to go into our next question, which
Yeah.
is talked about like how they're alike.
Yeah.
How is it different?
Yeah. So how's it been different for you, Jill?
Gosh. I think there's a few things that come up, right? Clearly, because I'm not directly tied to product release, what's different is I don't have phone calls at 1 a.m. anymore. I don't have, some of that pressure that comes with the firefighting that we often see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
But what I do love about that is because we don't have that, it frees up this space for us to focus solely on how do we help people in this space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's like
Yeah. Because
it's looking at a different aspect of our role. It's really focusing pretty much all, like, I mean, I would say probably 90% of the business is focused on people.
yeah.
And like when I know a lot of people that have even commented, you all are leaders in your organization and you have this people aspect, but you also have this, technical or tactical or execution part of your role. We have the ability to really just look at that people side of things and how to strengthen that,
Mm-hmm.
and how to help you strengthen that. And so,
Yeah.
this is honestly was like the favorite part of my job. Right now, I just get to do it more
All the
often,
time.
all the time. Yeah.
Well, and that I think for me is really what was different because when I was in manufacturing, right, they hired me because they saw that like you bring technical expertise,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's what they wanted us to focus on. And for a long time, till I figured it out, I focused a lot on how do I drive programs? How do I drive systems? How do I help drive processes? People were important, but when it came to the things that we knew we needed to do for people, it was always second,
Yeah.
right? We needed to get the business things done first, and then people were always in second. And it
Yeah.
wasn't until then that this is my whole journey that I was like, we can't have a sustainable business and food safety system if that's what we're always doing. We
Mm-hmm.
have to put people first. And that's what I think is really different now. Here we get to focus on that.
Yeah. And we get to focus on how do we help you do that even in your busy lives.
Yeah.
And
Little at a time.
yeah. And we know that right now people are overworked, they're burnt out.
Job
Retention is
loaded,
huge.
running around.
Yeah, and retention is a huge issue. And so how do you still focus on your people, and yourself, right? The
Mhm.
well-being of yourself while you continue to manage this pressure that has built up over the last couple of years.
Mhm. So Tia, for you, what do you think is the most different about being in a support role for food safety and quality and technical teams
Yeah.
versus being in and actually like being in manufacturing and doing that?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the the biggest things is the less fire, not as many fires, and really the less pressure on, man, we could have a recall.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, like, that's probably the biggest difference for me. And then that just focus on people, being able to really focus on people, and developing capabilities and people leadership, and really having this coaching mindset around it. I would say is even new to me, thinking about how to really truly leverage coaching, to help shape and build leaders. And so, I love it. It's something that I've always loved to do, is to develop others and really help them step into their full self. Whether it's they are a leader of people, or they are an individual contributor, but a leader in the organization, as we all should be. Having people fully step into themselves, I mean, that's really when, I mean, I've seen it where it's like you go from having a poor, mediocre team to having a team that is thriving, that's able to support themselves, that's able to, there's no more of these. I remember even teams that I've grown, and like you're literally meeting with them one-on-one multiple times a week, to, okay, we're meeting once a month because everything is flowing so well. And that takes time. But I loved doing that. And so I love it that I'm able to really focus on that, as my job, right? As my job. And it's just a part of my passion. So
Yeah.
I would
And while
agree.
you're talking, that's part of what makes it so important for us to bring coaching to food safety and quality.
Yeah,
Because I
absolutely.
think that is a big thing, that we've all heard of coaching, right? Whether it's the coaching like sports coach, or like coaches use loosely as a term, like, yeah, I coach my people. This is very different.
Yeah.
So bringing this to food safety and quality as a different approach, a new way to look at how do we move forward, is awesome. And I love, because I don't know if it's come out yet, but right, the panel you were on with Anne Marie McNamara,
Oh, yes.
when we were talking about like what's coming up next to develop the next set of leaders coming up, then you talked about coaching, and she's like, that is it.
Yes.
That,
Yeah.
like, we're on the cusp of bringing this to our profession so that we can really all grow together.
And honestly, and this almost goes into our next question of why coaching is important.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that can help us get to the type of culture that we want to see, faster, right? And it's something that's going to be sustainable. Like, we've all seen it where it's like, man, this group is so great. They have a great culture, and then the leader leaves, or someone retires, or someone gets promoted. And this could be even within the same organization, and then all of a sudden that group crumbles, right? It's because you haven't built in processes and systems, and even the people that are left there, they haven't really truly tapped into their gifts. They might just be following a process they might not believe in, or they're mimicking their amazing leader. But once that leader leaves, or something shakes up the group, the results aren't sustainable. And so with coaching, it allows for those results to be sustainable, because they're intrinsic.
Yeah. And I find that fascinating, because even as we've worked with different clients and even different teams, when we tap into what truly feels authentic, and I know that's a buzzword we use, but when we really tap in to what that is, it helps us move past all those things that hold us back.
Yeah.
So what I love seeing is people who like we know what we're doing, and we have these moments, right? I call it's almost like these seasons where we feel really confident in certain of what we're doing, but then we run into something where we maybe sit back, or these phases happen. But when we do coaching, I think what it does is it really helps us ground in who we are. So we may still have those different seasons, but it helps us move through them much easier and
Mm.
more confidently in ourselves. And I think about, like, there's a client I'm thinking about in particular who is kind of like, I'm not really sure how to go. I wish people would do this along with me. I wish like all these, like, we wish, we should, we hope, everybody else.
Yeah.
And as we're coaching, they were like, no, I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have the ability. I believe this is the path that's good for us.
Yeah.
And like created the path for their team and even for their organization to move forward with food safety.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what I think is so amazing about coaching.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I could babble about it all day, but
I love it.
and it's not like it's somebody who has to be an extrovert. It's someone who is an introvert. And it's, you know, people from all over on the scale who, when you tap into that, it really helps you move forward.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
I love
Yes. I'm curious too, with our audience. Have you ever had a coach in your career or in your personal life? You know, because Jill, you've told your story of when you first had your coach, right? And it helped you realize that, man, like, we need this in food safety.
Right, because, you know, I think the other part is we always are looking outside ourselves for answers. That's what we've been taught to do through school. That's even like what we've been taught to do in food safety. Like, I need to go find this reference. I need to go look here. I need to go find this. I need this to validate whatever we're doing. All really critical elements of food safety systems. But when it comes to leading people, like, we already know how to be kind and how to help people shine and be themselves when we let that come through.
Yeah.
And so I think coaching really helps us tap into, I don't need to always advise someone. I don't always need to tell them the answer, but how do I help them source?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah. You know, I would say, you know, when I got my coach, you know, it really just helped. It helped me understand exactly what you're talking about, is that I had the answers inside of me, but you know, my coach really helped me realize why I wasn't willing to accept that answer almost.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was because, you know, you're taught to, okay, I need a million examples, or I need 100 resources. You know, I need these things to kind of validate what I already know. And, you know, they really helped me understand that, no, you already have the answer and you're talking about it right now. You just need to do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to do something about it, do something about it. If not, then wait. But it's like you already know.
You do. And it helps that awareness with when we're filling in stories that we don't necessarily have evidence of, or that we don't know if they're true, and helps us lean into the curiosity that we know is so important when we talk about engaging people, when we want them to show up at work and love what they're doing, when we want them to step in because there's a food safety issue, or just because they're caring about their coworker, because that's right, that's building like the social construct that we need to have a community.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And I think the other part that I love about what we do, and so we do coaching, but we also put in some the tools that are helpful for the things that we know are hard, like job loading. Like, we have a way to objectively look at job loading and help you have then conversations about what it means for you.
Right. Exactly.
So I love that we have this, we're grounded in knowing food safety. We strongly know quality principles, and not just the ones like in an SQF system or a QMS. Like, we really know these quality systems and principles so that we can help kind of move into a new space that a lot of us haven't been able to experience when we come up through food.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And I think that's big because you guys been through the leadership training, the generic one that's typically operations based, and you come out thinking, I don't even know how to apply that to my role and to my teams, because we're different, right? We're the third shift sanitation team, or we, you know, I don't have direct, you know, authority over people that I'm influencing, so I can't just write them up, right? It's like all these different things that come out of it that you're like, well, how do I do that being in my role?
Yeah.
And that's what we talk about, and we've structured our programs around to be able to support that.
Yeah, and I think even the way we talk about things, what I love about coaching too, and why I think it's so important, is because how often do we talk about like company politics?
Mm-hmm.
And instead, like we ask people, like, how can we reframe this to what is it about our company relationships? What
Yeah.
is it about our company conversations?
Yes.
And when we start talking about things, when we start having new conversations around some of these things that have been barriers in the past, it opens up all these new possibilities.
Yeah.
And once again, because I was in a spot where I was stuck having these same conversations and not being able to move things forward,
Yeah.
this was like, right? Like wide open.
Yes.
It doesn't mean everything was perfect, but having this new perspective made you go, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now how do I want to navigate this?
Right. Exactly.
Love it.
Exactly. I agree.
Whew, sorry, I could talk about this all day.
I know. I love it. I love it though because it's impactful, and we obviously believe more people need it.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah.
know we have Marcel. You have a question. Have you guys ever coached or supported a food safety team or business with helping a team deal with complex emotions related to food equipment or machines?
Mhm.
You're saying because workers could become frustrated on a line, they can have an interesting outcome on the leadership or their coworkers in the company. And so the way that I'm taking this question, let me know if I'm misinterpreting it, but the way that I kind of hear what you're saying is, have we ever, coached or supported a company that's really trying to link people that are operators on the floor to their leadership? And those people could be frustrated, right, with leadership a lot of times, right, in cultures that are not healthy. And this is like just even people culture that feeds into food safety cultures, is that the people that are the most important assets, right? The company even says it, they're our most important assets because they're the ones that's actually producing the food. They are frustrated with their leadership, and they're frustrated that they, can't say their ideas, or that can't be a part of solutions, right?
Mhm. Or
And we see that. And as we look to support, organizations from a holistic standpoint, yes, good, thank you. As we look to support organizations from a holistic standpoint, that is a part of it. And sometimes the way that it's structured, of course, it depends on the company. Each company is different. And we take time to understand where you are as a company, and what's the right path. But a lot of times we're taking a look at that leadership levels. A lot of times it's that middle management or it's a supervisor. And we get them into our program so they can look at leadership a little bit differently. So we're ready to talk to people on the floor, right? That's making the product. We're ready to incorporate them, and the leaders are ready to actually hear and
Mhm.
actually be able to be that leader for the organization. So yes, we've done that, and we see the frustration when we were in corporate America, but also in our company now, where it really is an approach, right? And it does not happen overnight, right? Like someone can't just I'm not being a great leader and then all of a sudden turn it on overnight. If we could, then we would have, we would have a long time ago. But we can't. That takes time to develop. And once we get our leadership there, that they're able to listen, they're able to take feedback, they're able to incorporate other people's ideas, they're not burnt out or overworked, or, like those also leads to the emotion of the leader. Then we really start to see those relationships start to flourish and better ideas come to the table. And then we start seeing major culture change,
Mhm.
at least in that facility, and with those floor operators or sanitation team or lab techs, whatever it happens.
Anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, to add on to that, I think it's part of helping. We always talk about leadership in the little moments. And
Mm-hmm.
so often when we are trying to juggle all of the balls, sometimes we forget about how powerful that 30 seconds to pause and talk with someone or acknowledge something, how important that is. And so, but that's all up here. That's a mindset. And that's where coaching really is valuable because it's really having us look at what are those things that we're telling ourselves that keep us from stepping into that role of leadership in the little moments, but also even those bigger moments where we do need to find kind of the courage or the strength to stand in that space.
Yeah.
Because we've all had times where we feel pretty fierce and we can stand up for food safety, but we've also, I'm guessing, because probably 99% of the conversations I've had are also where people are kind of stepping back.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that they're not passionate about moving forward, but there's the thing that holds them back.
Yeah.
And that's what coaching helps explore, to say, okay, why? Like, what's going to happen? Like, what's the worst thing? Like, where does that come from? Do you have evidence? Well, we can talk all day about that.
Yeah. Yeah. It
is emotional. I think that's the other part. Sorry to come back to that. Because every time we have a thought, it's triggering a chemical reaction that's creating the emotion we feel. And that's what we act on or don't act on. Yeah. And so when we want to connect with people emotionally, we have to be more self-aware of what's even going on with us before we can ever connect with others.
Oh, that's such a good point. And the reason why we focus there, right? Because it's true. If you are a person that tries to avoid conflict or avoid having certain emotions, right? Like it's all around tying to a certain emotion you're trying to avoid, you may find yourself backing away from those conversations. You may find yourself backing away from people who are frustrated but want someone to listen to them. Even if the frustration is not directed at you, right? You might try to avoid those type of conversations because you don't like being in conflict. So like recognizing those things, whatever it is, conflict, that's just an example that many people, can relate to. But recognizing how you respond in those situations and being self-aware will help you make a different decision in the future.
Yeah. I think, Tim, thanks for sharing that, right? The mentoring and coaching, and there's blends of it as well.
Yes.
But, that's important on a technical aspect, as we're looking to troubleshoot, as we're looking to solve problems, as we're looking to continuously improve processes, systems. But it's also that the leadership side often, once again, takes a back seat.
Yeah.
So even the moments that you create where, you have a meeting and you really actually pause and be like, hey, was this meeting worthwhile for our team?
Yeah.
I mean, we may have cooler talk about it, or there may be other things, but it's having new conversations to open those channels. Yes. It's creating the space where people do have the ability to do more than just be like, I'm going to call it in robot mode. Like I do. Like we need you to pause. That's why we're people. We have,
right.
We're thinking beings that we need to tap into, because that's how our greatest assets are helping us stay great as organizations.
Yes, absolutely. That's why those people's skills are so important, right?
And being intentional, because even just, the other day I had someone who's like, well, I'm a really good leader. And I'm like, what are you intentionally doing every day? And they're like, well, we have meetings. Okay, well, what are your meetings about?
Yeah.
Like, what do you do different in your meetings so that you're showing up as a great leader or getting the most out of your team and creating space? Yes. What do you have on your development? What is on your leadership development plan for next year? And those were spaces where they didn't have answers.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that it has to all be, clearly, if you want to work with us, we're happy, but it doesn't have to be with us. But if we're going to be great leaders, we have to put that as just as important as going to a next conference or doing the next, insert technical workshop.
Yes.
We need to really be focusing on how are we really intentionally building our leadership skills.
Yeah. And people who are intentional, and we'll see, it's the reason why the majority of people that start with us go through our technical leader boot camp, which we have one opening up in January 26th. But that's why we have people, start with that program. That's why it's our base program in our technical leadership development plan, because it helps you develop the necessary skills you need to be an intentional leader and start to build onto that. Because what we've seen is that people who go through that program, they are a lot more intentional about how they hire people. and how they set their goals for the year, and how they interact with other functions, and even people within their functions. They look at things differently, because now they have, now they've gone through, our program, they've gone through those coaching sessions, they now have the tools, and not to say that they come out and they're like 5-star, boom, 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 but it's like over.
None of us are. I mean, some of us are, but in different areas and different times. But
exactly. But that continuous, like, I have the foundation and I'm continuously practicing along the way, right? Like, we see change, we see those light bulb moments, like what we like to call those light bulb moments, where it's like, oh, this makes sense. This makes sense why I need to be intentional here. And then you start seeing a difference between you and your coworkers on how you plan and how you like to pull teams together and what you like to talk about and how you talk about them, right? Like, I mean, we see that, right? Like, where there's just a difference in the people that have gone through our program and how they work. And, our program is just, one, but like, just speaking from our experience over the year, like seeing people go through the program and interacting with some people that haven't, like, there's a difference, and they've called it out to us. I'm like, man, I can tell I'm a lot more intentional.
Yeah. And those things are important.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, the other thing that people often ask us, Tias, right, is like, okay, what's next? So
yes.
Right.
Yes.
People have seen us a lot this year. We've been in different spaces. We've been on at different conferences, webinars, shows, magazines, publications.
Yes.
What's next for Catalyst?
Yeah. We are planning that. So more announcements to come into the future. So if you do not follow us on LinkedIn, please do, because we do all of our announcements there. One thing that we want to focus on next year is really, focus on our leadership development path and how they all relate together. I talked about our technical leader boot camp that's coming up in January. That's one of our multi-tiered program, and really helping our clients move from one stage to the next as they grow in their career, but also provide them with opportunity to get that continuous coaching sessions where they can continue to practice, they can continue to be held accountable, to what they're doing, so they can continue to, build those, or really just rediscover, right, those internal gifts that they have, as well as get additional tools. So what's next for Catalyst is that, we're really putting that all together next year, and helping our clients really be able to benefit from that in a way that makes sense for their organization. And so I'm super excited about that next year.
I am. And I think the other part that I'm excited about, that we've kind of done a little, like, I think, like you said, kind of a soft rollout, but the companies that we're working as their L&D, learning and development arm for technical leadership development. That's, I think, part of what's next for Catalyst is we're leading fully into that next year, which is really exciting, to partner with organizations that really see it's not an investment of, like, we love when people say, like, oh, I have one person to send to boot camp. Yay, awesome. That's making a difference. But we also had companies who said, like, we want to have the ability. So when we have someone new or someone who, maybe from not directly in food safety, but a different area, wants to be part of your program, how can we do that easier and more seamlessly? And so that's something that we're soft rolling out right now, and more for next year. So you're going to hear more about how we're making it easier to have the ongoing support.
Yes. Yep, absolutely. And, a piece of that too, when we talk about support, if you've been following us, we've been talking a lot about onboarding. And so onboarding is going to be a huge piece of what we do, what we currently do, but what we're going to talk more about next year is how do we also help our clients bring new people into the organization, or transition them into new roles in the organization. And what does that mean from an onboarding standpoint? And how do you really get people set up for success in your organization? And so what Jill kind of talks about being that, technical leader leg of your organization, onboarding is something that we will also offer as new people come into your organization.
Mm-hmm. And I think the other part is that what people tell us they love most about working with us is how we help create new conversations
Yeah.
and the community that we create that helps reconnect, reinforce, people move forward. And so I know next year, like I'm so excited about, and you're hearing it here, Spark Club. We're going to have a Spark Club opening up so that people can have a chance to be part of a different type of community that we have here, but a new community where there's going to be more coming out about it.
Yeah.
But it's going to help support so that, you know what, maybe you've already done boot camp and you're not quite ready for the next level, whatever that is, you can still have a space to come and be part of the community.
Yeah.
Maybe you're thinking about boot camp or wondering what's next, but you want to like kind of be part of the community, see what it's like. We're creating this community so that we can have more connection about the areas in the soft skills and how those relate to our technical skills.
Yes. Yeah. And, we call it Spark Club because, in theme with what we've been talking about is that in order to make a shift in culture or to, start to build a culture, you really do need that initial spark. Yeah. And anyone can be that initial spark in your organization. And so, as we think about this community, it's how do we continue to support each other, right? In order to continue to be those sparks in our organization so we can set a fire and we can really start to accelerate, transform and accelerate food safety culture throughout your organization.
Yeah. And so, when we talk about this year of gratitude, what I love is, once again, so grateful for everybody who's on with us now, but all the people that have reached out, all the people that have worked with us, all of that, because this is all about the year of gratitude and helping us support, letting us do this work that we just love to do and are passionate about.
Yes.
And it's wonderful. So thank you to everybody out there.
It really is. One other thing that I want to mention about what's next is that we actually support a lot of small businesses. And we're super passionate about that because not just because there's amazing things that's happening. I mean, the small businesses that we meet are like, oh my goodness, this is amazing
We're
stuff.
Inspired every time we have a conversation with them.
Absolutely, right? But, we really do believe that food safety is a journey. And in order for you to have the sustainable food safety culture, if you start early on when you're first starting out and, your exposure isn't too large, but you are continuing to grow, if you start then and help food safety enable your growth, and food safety is really integrated into the way you do business early on.
Like weaved in.
Yes, like you see amazing results, and food safety will no longer be the, oh man, can we do that because of regulations? Can we do this because of food safety? Can we do this because we're having quality? Whatever happens to be, like if it's integrated into the way that you do work, it's so much better. And so the work that we do with our small businesses is helping them integrate food safety. We help them build their programs and to integrate into their organization, think about implementation, but then also help them understand where they need to be into the future. This is a small business that might not have any food safety and quality support, or they might have some food safety quality support. But eventually, like Jill talked about it earlier, where we're all about sustainability. So once they start hiring on some food safety and quality staff, we're all about how do we make sure that they can lead that organization going forward. And we really just step back and be a business partner to them and help them with their leadership development. So, I love this thing that we're building at Catalyst because we really do look at food safety as a holistic approach. And we look at it throughout your full journey of starting up to when you are a, whatever size business you want your organization to be. We really are a partner. And so next year, you'll see more on how we're supporting small businesses in the work that we do there.
Yeah. And all of it was made possible because, one, we had this passion that comes from being in food safety and quality.
Mm-hmm.
We have everybody out there who's supporting us.
Yes.
And that's amazing.
So thank you. Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
So I know you did a little cheers, another cheers, maybe another clinky clink.
Yeah, I just cheered without you, but clink, clink, clink. Yeah. So
yes, cheers to a wonderful 2022, and we're looking forward to the holiday season and to celebrate with you guys through the holidays, and what I mean, can you believe that we're already in November?
No.
Like, I mean, October basically didn't exist.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's crazy that we are less than a couple of months away from 2023.
Mm-hmm. We are. And that's when we're going to be, I just put up our email because, we're going to kick the year off with a boot camp cohort, because no better time to jump in and be an intentional leader. So if you need information about that, head over to our website or email us here, because I'm going to guess, and I'm going to be bold here and be like, someone who needs this.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we hope to hear from every single one of you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Send us an email. We also have our website that you can check out. We love connecting with each of you. We love doing this on Wednesdays, so we will continue to meet here every single Wednesday. Most Wednesdays, right? Like, as we get into the holidays, most Wednesdays. Yeah. For our LinkedIn Live, and every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Central. We also have our replays up on YouTube as well. So if you miss us, that's okay, because we do post these on our YouTube channel.
Yes. And next week, we have a special guest. I'm going to guess that most people in food have never even encountered Jen Whitmer yet, but you will hear.
Yes, you will.
She is incredible and is going to talk about some different aspects of emotional intelligence, aka the self-awareness. We need to be good leaders, great leaders, and Enneagrams, which is a completely different personality type assessment than most that people have done.
Mm-hmm.
So we are so excited to have her on the show next week and have you be part of this.
Yes. So please join us next week. We'll be right here with Jen, which I'm super, super, super excited about. And I know you're going to enjoy this conversation.
Yes. So thanks, everyone. And we hope you have a great rest of the week. And we'll see you back here, same time, same place.
All right. Bye, everyone.